weird in person. I'm not
Let's
gonna lie.
talk about the global economy
No.
and its economical struggles on
No.
the world's common man.
No.
Well, you let me pick, and then you just discount my opinion. That's not cool.
I'd rather talk about the Roman Empire.
Roman Empire. What insight would you like to offer about the Roman Empire?
They should bring back gladiator battles.
Gladiator battles, like to the death?
Yeah.
You think they should just fight death row inmates?
You know, instead of like war and like genocide, why don't we just have gladiator battles?
I'll have you know that would be fun, but just as a counterpoint, the Romans had gladiator battles and also fought in many wars.
Oh.
Like it's not one or the other. It's
I feel like that's the line of thinking that led to the creation of the Hunger Games, though.
Just so you're tracking. Which it's fine if you want to do that, like within, like if you're having an internal struggle and you have the Hunger Games or the Colosseum, yeah, it'll like playstate your citizens, but you still have the rest of the world to deal with. That's why I think it's interesting with the Hunger Games. Like, are they at war with other countries? Like, why are other countries are they just leaving them alone?
They're just
like,
not mentioned. Like, I wonder if like other countries were destroyed. Like in one of the Hunger Games fan fictions I'm reading, like that was their theory, is that other countries got destroyed in the like wars and natural disasters that happen. Because that's like the big story with Panem, is that natural disasters happened and destroyed the country, and days with the survivors that rose up out of it, and then their society had a huge war that led to the creation of the capital and all that stuff, and the current world. But they don't mention other countries. But I also think it would be really funny if all these other countries just had a pact, like, we're just gonna let Panem do whatever the fuck they want. We're gonna embargo them. They're not gonna go anywhere.
Like no one leaves the country, right? And
Nope.
But in Songbirds and Snakes, they show a map and there's all the 12 districts, the capital, and then there's land to the north. Like there's other land. And they even mention it. They're like, we're going to go north beyond the Panem's borders. And you're like, so there is other land.
It's like Canada just out there watching, like, wow, you guys fucked up.
Right. Like, but they'd never mention the name of it. They never mention if people live there. They're just like, well, we'll go north and avoid the whole country. And you're like, I don't know why. Well, I guess I know why. Like the capital doesn't want you thinking that you can leave, because then they wouldn't have any of its labor. Like if people were just like, well, it's better north, we're all leaving.
Yeah.
Like they have to keep you there.
I mean, that's pretty much why they firebombed District 12 at the end of the series.
Yeah. And like, what was 13 in charge of exactly?
13 was in charge of mining graphite, and then secretly they were in charge of producing nuclear weapons, which is how they became a separate society, because they in the capital had came to a standstill where they were basically like mutually assured destruction. So the capital was like, okay, you fuck off and do what you want. We'll pretend you don't exist. We'll leave you alone. You don't bother any of our districts. So 13 made their own society because they had nuclear weapons available.
Yeah, I feel like that's not made clear in any of the books.
It's made clear in the books, but not the movies.
Well, any of the movies, yeah, I should say. I haven't read the books.
The movies, I feel like they could have split up more. But, hello. Welcome back to Mindless Prattle. Season 2.
You sound so excited right now.
That was my excited voice.
That was your excited voice?
Did I not sound excited?
It sounded like your announcement voice.
Hi, welcome back to Mindless Prattle.
Well, now it's just insincere. Try it again. Go ahead. You
know hi, welcome back to Mindless Prattle.
Now you just sound annoyed.
My first voice was excited, okay?
Was it? You weren't even smiling. She wasn't even smiling, folks.
They don't need to know.
That's not excited, though.
Hi, welcome back to Mindless Prattle.
Oh, you shook your head. Now you're just like looking down on them.
You know what? You do the intro.
Oh my gosh, I can't. We've already had like 5 at this point.
Listen, we're back. That's the point.
Season 2. We're back.
You sound much more excited than I do.
Welcome back. Happy January 15th. And we're...
Hope your New Year's didn't suck.
It's the 15th. We've been off for 2 weeks. Just not enjoying. We've just been living life. I don't know about enjoying.
Yeah.
Experiencing
We've been enjoying
things.
Moments of life.
Yep. Watching people drink things off bathroom floors. It's a whole mess, really.
What?
And I didn't tell you the other day.
No, you didn't.
I was driving up from work, right? Stopped at the gas station because I had to pee. Went in there. There were 2 urinals on the left, a stall in front of me and then the handicap stall at the end, right?
Mhm.
And you know how the handicap stall is usually like longer?
Yeah.
Like it takes up
So I
that
can't
whole back wall so you can fit
wheel in
all
there,
the
yeah.
wheels in there. And so I looked over and on the ground underneath the door of the handicap stall, so like nowhere near the toilet, there was just a giant like big gulp sitting there. Like middle, like it wasn't like tucked off to the side. You know how if you pee in a big gulp, you got to put it to the corner, because we're not animals, right? So like if you have the big gulp and you're wanting it like to keep drinking, you put it in front of the door so that one, people know that it's occupied, right? You don't have to knock and do that awkward like, hello, anyone there? Right. But you keep the drink far enough away from the toilets that no fecal matter gets in there. Obviously, that's how restrooms work. I
Mhm.
don't know if you guys
Mhm.
know that. Don't mind the fact that if you walk in and it smells like poop, you've already got poop in your nose. It's already in there. You can't unget it in there. Like you've ingested it at that point, right? Don't think about that. Public
Thanks for that,
restrooms,
Jordan. Everybody's gonna
but
think about that forever.
but you. Oh, I'll keep going.
No, keep going with the
But
story.
but so it's sitting on the ground, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I hope no one like I." You have that initial thought of like, "I hope no one drinks out of that." And like a man who could read my thoughts, like a man who knew what was gonna happen, I hear the toilet flush in that back stall. The man gets up, pants still around his ankles, like penguin waddles over to the door, picks it up. I hear slurps it, puts it back down, and then waddles back and sits back down on the toilet. Like it was so good. Whatever was in there, they did had to interrupt him taking a shit in a public restroom. Like, damn, that is some good
At
big
that
gulp.
that at that point, just hold it in your lap. Just hold it in your lap. It's just as unsanitary.
It was so weird.
If you're going to use the bathroom for that long, you need a beverage break, just keep it with you.
Oh
Nobody
man.
can see you. Nobody else is judging you, but we can see it on the floor.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same as if you going back to an earlier point of if you smell it, it's in you. Uh you ever go in and you're like, oh, I don't want to touch the paper towels because then I'll be dirty. So you dry your hands with that the big air dryer, that big
No,
hand
those
air
are worse. I
dryer.
hate them.
They're entirely 100% worse. It is never better. You're not saving you're saving a tree so that you can have fecal matter blown onto your hands because where is that air coming from? It's not hooked up to a tank. It is taking air from like the top part of the bathroom and blowing it directly on your hands. Like that is poop air that is
Mhm.
drying your hands. It is not sanitary.
That's why during COVID, when everybody got rid of like paper towels, I was really pissed off. I was like, this is worse.
Yeah, I would sooner dry my hands on my pants. Like that's what I'll go with
Yeah.
than use a fecal matter sprayer 10,000. Like that's what that is.
This is how you wanted to start season 2 off, huh?
What's that? No, it just happened to me. And so so if you need a big gulp off the floor,
Please don't.
I feel
I
like
don't
you
know.
shouldn't. I don't that's so yeah, that's what happened with that day with me. It's not the most unsanitary thing I've seen, but you know how some gas stations have those like little taquitos, like the rollers?
Yeah, I love them.
I know, right? They're good. Like you
Are you
get
about to
some,
ruin
there's like
them?
two for like $3. So this guy comes out of the bathroom. It's a
Mm,
bathroom story again. Comes out of the bathroom, which I'll say this: I was in the bathroom. The dude was in the bathroom. We both finished going to the bathroom. I'm washing my hands. The guy walks by behind me, leaves the bathroom, and I was like, "That gross dude. He did not wash his
I do the
hands."
same thing. I hella judge other
I was
people.
like, in a public bathroom too. Like, don't wash your hands at home in private at least. Like, ugh. But so he walked by me, and I was like, "Oh, what a gross dude!" Right? Walked out, and I was like, "You know what? I'm hungry. It's 4 in the morning. I want some rollers." So I walk towards the rollers, and then I stop, and I see this man. Guess what he's doing?
Is he grabbing them with his hands?
He is, but which ones?
The ones you wanted?
No, 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 no. I would have gotten other ones, right? This man turns out was an employee and was taking them out of the box and putting them on the rollers so they could start cooking for the day. And I didn't see if he had gloves on. I didn't stop to check, but I saw him doing that and I immediately left and I was like, "Wow, I'll never get rollers from this gas station again."
That's horrible.
And
Why
just
you should call.
walked out.
Honestly,
And I was
I
like,
would have said something. I would have been
"Oh."
like, "Dude, how fucking disgusting. That's just illegal."
Yeah, I was like, "You know that sign that says like you must wash your hands? That's for you, bud. That's for you."
It says employees must wash
I
hands.
don't know which gas station it was, but if I see that man again, I definitely ain't stopping there.
I feel like you have much more interesting stories, but I also don't remember much about what happened the past 2 weeks.
Like,
I mean, I do remember I made you watch a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
that is true, but we already talked about it.
Did we?
That was the opening.
But you didn't.
Remember? We talked about it. Yeah, it was the opening.
I don't know.
Yeah, enough. What do you think it feels like to be in an airplane during an earthquake? Like, do you feel it?
I don't think you would feel it.
I don't think so either. But somebody asked me the other day, and I was like, obviously not. And they're like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, because that's not how atmosphere works.
Okay, you
Like,
know that story from a few weeks ago about how the plane, like the door came off the plane?
that was like last week, but all right.
Okay, so there was a plane and mid-flight, like one of their doors flew off, like airbags came down, everybody was fine. A few people had like broken bones and stuff like that, but nobody died. So I think that's a very lucky flight. Um Somebody's phone fell off that plane
Yep.
and someone found it fully intact, fully functional, still working on the ground. I wonder if that person from the plane got their phone back.
I don't know. I don't know how you would like find it back.
I mean, I'm sure you would see it on social media.
Like you'd find my iPhone, you'd be like, oh yeah, it was in Kentucky. Like I don't know.
Like, oh, we were flying over Ohio. How lucky.
Mhm.
But and the only other story I really like put down for this week, um, did you hear about the husky that saved their like this entire neighborhood from a gas leak?
No.
Okay. So I saw this article and I thought it was really cool. I can't remember which state it was. I think it was Pennsylvania. I have it on my phone, but my phone's charging. But this husky, which they said it was a husky, but when I saw the picture of it, it looked like a corgi husky hybrid. Like
Okay.
it was a small dog.
Yeah.
But basically, this woman noticed her dog would not stop digging a hole in the same place. Like they kept covering up the hole. Her dog would go right back to it, dig it up, and just kept digging and making the hole bigger.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, my dog has never done this before, so that's kind of weird." Like, but she had a gas leak previously. Um, so she went and got like this little gas detector she had, and she's like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of gas in there." Called city officials out to like look at it and investigate.
Yeah.
They found so much fucking gas up under these neighborhoods that they said that if it had continued to leak for like another day or two, it probably would have blown up the entire neighborhood. Like the
Yeah.
entire neighborhood.
Did you see the gas leak in China?
No.
Oh my gosh, hold on.
I do know that the new year started with that huge fucking like tsunami earthquake in Japan.
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me find the video of it. Gas leak.
But that's so scary because like you just don't know that's happening until it's too late.
Let me see if I can find it.
Was it recent?
Yeah, it was pretty recent.
But yeah, so this dog saved like this entire neighborhood simply because his owner was smart enough to recognize that his digging was not.
Yeah, check
a
this
problem.
out. So this was all of this on the ground. It looks like fog, right? Everyone thought it was fog, and then there was a spark, and the whole neighborhood just caught on fire.
Oh my god!
Like everything, cars, trees, like it all started.
How does that even
burning. You're like,
happen?
gosh, damn! And
How does a gas leak happen that bad where it's that thick and
I
becomes
saw
fog-like?
another one that was like the beginning of it, and it was the fog coming out, and people were like, "Look at how quick this fog's moving in," and it was just like the gas leak. Oh, I don't want TikTok. Get out of here. Like, where is in South where? I don't know. Oh, it's South Korea. That's what it was. I thought it was in China for some reason. Oh, this is the same video, just on TikTok. But like, yeah, it There's a whole thing that there's a video of it like rolling in and it's super quick. I'm like, dude, fog does not move in that fast. Like, ooh. But it was I don't know what you do. Like who was someone outside filming this? Because that person's yeah, it was on January 1st too.
How does a gas leak become that bad that quickly?
Damaged 14 buildings, several vehicles. Yeah, that's 5 people were injured with severe burns, 3 suffering minor wounds, but no one died. Like
That's lucky. It's like have you ever I have an irrational fear of sinkholes.
sinkholes.
Sinkholes are terrifying.
I wouldn't say they aren't, but like
And like the rate at which sinkholes have been opening up and appearing in the past couple of years has like increased exponentially, but like whole buildings
hold on.
and things are just swallowed up overnight. I like how he looked up has the rate of sinkholes, but then it said has the rate of autism. Was like the first search result.
Don't call me out. All right. Sinkholes are developing more frequently as a result of human activities. Oh, okay. Greater rate than usual, high profile, blah, 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 blah. Global warming temperature, the number of sinkholes increases by 1 to 3%. 1 to 3. Couldn't just call it 2 on average. 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
That's funny. I don't know about sinkholes, but there was those landslides in Alaska that cut off some of the cities. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
And the record flooding that or the record rainfall that they got, they were like, yeah, our town's basically an island now. Like there's no way in or out. All the highways are like washed away, like gone. They had to use helicopters to get in and out of like town.
Damn, nature.
Yeah.
You scary.
Oh, I think I touched the cat or something, man. I'm dying.
Already?
I'll be right back. You hold down the fort.
Do you guys want more waiting music? Or do you just want
talk about a story?
it's a lot of pressure. I've just been playing The Sims. Yeah. Um I'm building the biggest Sims house I've ever built in my life. I don't know if you guys find this interesting or not, but I find it interesting. And it's got like 6 bedrooms, a basement bedroom, kitchen, all this sort of stuff. It's super fun. I've made Jordan look at it like 60 times already.
You defaulted to The Sims? That's what you went with?
I went with The
Oh
Sims.
my gosh.
And then I've been
Don't
playing
even tell
so much Starfield.
Yeah, at least tell them something new.
Did I not talk about it last time? I don't know if I was playing Starfield last time.
Try it out.
Listen, for free, you can't beat it, okay? Like, I understand like why people who have paid for the game have like problems with it, and there's some things that bother me about it too.
Oh, yeah.
But I got it on Xbox Games Pass, and I just want to play it all the time now. Like, I'm having a lot of fun. I've been doing all the Reunion Industries quest lines, like just being like a little space spy, you know.
What play style are you going for in it?
I'm just playing myself.
What does that mean? Are you being like evil? Are you being
No,
good about it?
I'm never evil.
You don't have to lie to the people.
It makes me feel guilty in video games when I pick the bad option. Like I'll do like morally questionable things, like I'm fine stealing and all that sort of stuff, but like I can't say the mean dialogue option. Like
The mean option? No. Like I meant like, are you doing evil thing? Like you could just become a space pirate and just rob everyone you see.
I haven't done that.
Like you can come across, like I came across one that was like a field trip and the kids were asking questions and the teacher was like, if you could just give us some ship parts, we'd be on our way. And then the options pop up and it's just like give ship parts, give some credits, steal their ship and murder everyone. Or leave, and you're like, oh, well, is that what the options are?
Okay,
Yeah.
wait, no, hold on. I got that one the
Yeah.
other day, and it said
I
I
was
could
like,
give them
oh.
10 ship parts. I could tell them to fuck off, or I could say, sorry, I don't have the ship parts. It didn't give me an option to give them
It
credits.
gave me the piracy option. I was just like, all right, I could be a pirate about it. And I was like, nah, not right now. I'm busy.
No,
I think
I'm an empath.
my second playthrough, I'm just going space pirate because it seems like a fun way to get some money pretty quick.
I can't.
They're fake people.
I know they're fake people. Some of these people are really bad. Like I made a mean option. I did the bad mean thing in the Outer Worlds. I exited out of the game and stopped playing. I have not returned to that again.
I think you are telling voice actors that you just hate them.
What do you mean?
Because voice actors get paid to make good dialogue and the sad dialogue, and you are just saying like a big F you by never listening to the sad dialogue that you can only get by being mean.
Other people can listen to that.
No, you have to. You
No,
have
I
to experience it for
don't.
yourself. Otherwise, it's basically like you've pirated the game,
But
and
I'll
they're not
cry.
gonna get paid for it. All right,
I
that's
don't
what it
wanna be
is.
mean. I wanna be a good person.
The good bird.
Like, I usually go for, like, a chaotic good or chaotic neutral playthrough, you know?
Yeah, is that what you're going for?
Yeah.
I go for just chaotic, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, do this.
We're very different in the way we play video games.
Like I even told you the other day, like the easiest way to get XP is to just kill animals on planets. Because you can do a quest that takes say 10 minutes, right?
Mhm.
The quest takes 10 minutes, you get 125 XP for it. Or you could go to like a level 50 planet, you could kill 6 animals and they're each worth 75 XP. Like you get so much more XP for just killing animals out in the wild than you do for doing quests.
Yeah.
It's super unbalanced.
I've
I
heard a lot of
don't
people
know why.
complain they think the game is too easy, but for me, I'm really bad at it, so
I think it's super unbalanced. Like if you're running in like head first, if you're trying to do a melee only build, that game is impossible. Like if you wanted stealth and melee, you are on the wrong game.
yeah.
You cannot
I haven't
use
even tried
stealth.
melee at all.
I have my melee at max and my stealth at max, and it's still impossible to sneak up. And even when you do, you'll hit somebody with the blade. There's no animations for it, so you'll hit somebody, they'll fall down, and them falling down will alert everybody in the next room over. You're like, well, there goes the stealth part. I guess I'm just running in with a blade now. And if
Yeah.
you don't have any health items, they're gonna shoot you because they have guns. So like you can't, like
Yeah, I found the Ryujin quest line, where you have to like sneak around without security clearance really difficult. Like I was literally saving that shit every 3 seconds. Like I was playing Alien Isolation or something.
mm,
My heart was pounding. I
oh
was like,
you haven't gotten to the fun one yet where now you have to sneak in again. Like you,
for what?
not in them, but a different company. You have to sneak in there with like the new technology that you have. You have to sneak in there and plant some evidence there and then leave without being seen. And it is a right pain in the ass, dude.
You know what? Maybe I'm gonna take a break from Starbound.
Just that quest. That quest itself took me like almost 2 or 3 hours. Like it was a long one to just sit there and like slowly inch forward.
I think I might get back into Slime Rancher too. It's been a little while since I played it.
Have you played the second one?
Yeah, it's so good.
I haven't played the second one.
I
I only
love
played the
it.
first. The first one was not optimized very well. Like it just froze if you tried to put too many slimes in one place. Like animal cruelty was a bad thing or something. And it just didn't make any
Having
sense.
7,000 slimes in one cage is a
It
problem.
wasn't even
Yes.
7,000. You could put like 100 in there and it was just like, nah. And you're like, all right, well, thanks.
You can't even feed that many in one.
Yeah, you can. You can put a bunch of food
You
in
can
there.
only put like 50 food in each cage.
Nah, you can put 100 in there. You'll be all right.
But the second one's really fun. I think you'd like it. And there's new slime types.
Did they continue the story in the second one?
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a story in the first one, which was really good. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Have you ever played a story about my uncle?
No, I haven't.
It's on my Steam. You should download it and play it. It's pretty good. It only takes like an hour. It only took me an hour. Let's back up. But it's a platformer, so
Okay,
it
so it'll
might
take me like
take
4
you a
hours.
couple hours. But it's really good, and it's a good story. I think you'd like it.
Hmm.
I haven't played it in a while though.
How was your New Year's?
By New Year's, what did I do New Year's?
We hung out in bed and then I woke you up at midnight and said Happy New Year's and then you went back to sleep.
That is true. I was tired, man.
You got any resolutions?
Resolutions. I still want to try and read more. I didn't do that this past year, but I got to this year.
I'm gonna make him read
I want to.
Akatar.
Yeah, you keep saying that. But I still don't know which ones to read.
I told you which one.
Oh no, we downloaded one, right? On
Yeah,
my
the second
phone.
one, yeah.
Yeah, so it's on my phone, so I'll read that eventually.
And so the thing with book series on Kindle, if you just look up the first book in the series, it'll show you all of them like stacked together.
Yeah, that's how I was reading those other ones. I was on book 4 of the other series I was reading, the Starship one.
Mm-hmm. Backyard Starship.
Yeah, that series I liked it. It wasn't the greatest, but there was like 20 something in the series, and I was like, well, I've already read 3 of them, so I may as well just keep going,
Maybe that's the kind of reaction I'll get. They'll be like, I don't know about this, but I'll keep going.
You should. And with those 2 weeks off, Ripley's nearly done with her book now, so that's cool. And
Yeah.
wow, you just exuded confidence. Thanks for the backup on that
I
one.
don't think anybody feels confident about their book. Okay. I got to tie up the ending and I'm really struggling. And I think it's going to have to be a series because I didn't know I was going to write this many words. And now I can't do
Exactly.
what I thought I was going to do.
She's assigned herself more work and is upset about it. That's what's happened here.
Because I wanted to write a different book after this one.
So do it. Alternate, girl. It's not difficult. You write one story, and then you're like, time to write Harry Potter, and then you're like, now time to write Lord of the Rings, and now it's time to write your book, and then it's time to write. Just pick different things. It'll work out.
I'll write the next 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. What do you want to call it, though? You gotta have a color and something about a number in there. The creative juices are flowing.
A Million Lavender Deaths.
Why is death in there? What? Did somebody die in 50 Shades?
It'll be a mafia romance.
Mafia romance? What the what?
Have you not heard of that? Oh. One of my favorite romance novels series is I can't remember exactly. It's by Sylvia Day. And it's like 50 Shades of Grey, like it was inspired, but it's about like this guy who like kills people for this woman and like makes her life better. And he's rich and sexy. And it's written way better than 50 Shades of Grey. Like there's an actual plot, but it's got like the side plot of like murder and the mafia and shit. So it's good read.
What is it called?
It's
You don't have to look it up.
no, I do need it's called like
Well,
Cross or something. Can you look up Sylvia Day?
I can. How do you spell it?
SY.
You've lost me.
SYLVIA.
Yeah.
DAY.
This says Silver Pizza.
That's not what I asked for.
Well, it's not what you didn't ask for.
I asked for Sylvia Day.
Yeah.
I think it's called like Crossed or something like that.
This one's a Crossfire novel.
Oh, it's the Crossfire series. There's like 5 or 6.
There's 5 of them. One with you, entwined with you, captivated by you, bared to you, and reflected in you. Sorry, I'm reading sideways.
It's okay. I really like it though. It's dramatic and stupid. Low, like it's not gonna make you the next like brain scientist or anything, but it's a good read.
Brain scientist, huh? That's what we're going with. Not neurologist, brain scientist.
Neuroscientist.
Brain scientist, yes.
Technically correct.
All right, Hermes. Do you get the reference?
No.
Okay. Technically correct. The best kind of correct.
I like it. The cat just like keeps rubbing her tail across us. Like she keeps walking back and forth.
Oh yeah, we've been gone for a couple days,
so 1 whole day.
Whatever. Same thing.
In cat
so
days, that's forever.
Texas is experiencing another cold.
Snap.
Are you busy?
No, I'm listening.
Coldnesses. So if you are in Texas, make sure you're staying warm. There was some snow we saw earlier today. The power might go out in the middle of this recording. Who knows? It's all over the place.
The power can't go out until we got the tent set up.
Why? What? You can easily set up the tent when the power's out.
Well, I won't be able to see as good.
That's yes. So
it'd be really inconvenient
to set up a tent in the dark. You've never been camping, have you?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Hey, do you guys know that it's inconvenient to set up a tent in the dark? You should always just camp during the daytime. Like, what kind of idiots are we camping at night? Ugh.
And I'm sure you usually set up your tent in the daytime before you get in it at night.
I mean, maybe if you got time.
Why wouldn't you have time?
Well, if the store's out, how are you going to get in? Maybe if they only have oregano, okay? They don't have time. You got to substitute.
Okay.
What?
We weren't talking about seasoning.
I got a new book today.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the Book of Unusual Knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And what does that have to do with what I said?
I opened the book to a random page earlier, and it was like, if you're going to Brazil, don't maybe okay is not okay. And you said okay, and it reminded me. So,
Okay.
no, whoa, all right, whoa. And it was like, it was this long description about how different cultures are different. I was like,
Yes.
crazy, crazy unusual knowledge. Is that unusual? I don't know. But then right at the end, it was just like, so if you are in Brazil, don't put your index finger and your thumb together and make the OK symbol because that's an obscene gesture in Brazil. And I was like,
Mhm.
I was like, I didn't feel like that was unusual knowledge. I felt like that was just kind of regular
Yeah, isn't like in middle
knowledge
school people
thing.
used to like find like what would be the equivalent of like the bird in other countries and
The
like make
bird.
it?
Yes, they would make the bird.
But you don't like flip them off, but like they'd find whatever there's equivalent to flipping somebody off in like a different culture and like do that because teachers didn't know.
What were we talking about the other day about birds? I was with my sister. She was talking about birds for a while.
Birds.
Her and her husband. They were saying something about birds. What was it?
Something about birds. Yep.
How are you not paying attention?
How are you not
to
paying
all
attention?
the things that ever happen and then randomly think about them later in the middle of some other event? It was a board game. I
Oh,
knew it.
the game
So they
about
have.
birds. Yeah.
Okay, the name of the game is the name about birds.
I
and
don't remember the name of the game.
You were just like, ah.
It's a game about birds.
Anyway, so it's a card game apparently about birds, and I don't know what it is, but I kind of want to look it up now to have a bird card game.
Really? I want that other one. What is it called?
Card game birds.
No, the one we played with them, like the potion making and stuff.
Oh yeah, potion making by birds. Birds in the cauldron.
What is it called?
Bird soup.
No. That would be a good game though. Bird soup.
Duck beak potions.
No.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with birds.
Are you sure?
Yes.
What if there's something to do with a bird? Will you give me a high five?
No.
What if the first word is quack? The first word's quack. There's that high
Quack's a
five.
fledgling
Yes,
bird.
I knew it. It had something to do with birds. I was right.
But not birds. Quacks like frauds.
Sure. It had something to do with birds. You should have seen the smile
My
on
ear
her face.
really hurts.
Is it the earrings? What's up?
No, it's like my inner ear.
Oh, we've been going from like different altitudes, different pressures today. It's probably a lot of combinations of that.
I'm having a great time over here. And Jordan's allergies have been great.
Oh yeah, dude, it's just a great day. This is the only time that we had time to record, and it was right after we had went on like this long car trip, and I was like, oh, whatever. We'll
Yeah, and it was like snowing. Record low today.
Record low. That's nice.
Great. Love to hear it.
Mm.
We're gonna get drunk after this. We got a new card game.
Oh yeah, it's called
Do or Drink.
I mean, you can do the first part. I'll do the second part.
What's the first part?
You get to do. I get to drink. I don't know what you're doing, but
so it'll like give you challenges, and then if you refuse to do them or like you don't win, then you have to drink. And it just says play until you're blacked out, pretty much.
Yeah, I looked up the conditions to win, and it was just like, no, you just play until you're done. Like you
just play until you're done. That's it.
You like play until you pass out, or you just don't remember it, and you wake up and you're like, who won? And you're like, who cares? I don't know.
You're like, I think it was you, but I don't really remember anything after the last 6 drinks.
What's your stance on throwing up from drinking?
It happens to everybody. You probably shouldn't do it like every time you drink, but so long as like you only overdo it every once in a while, I'm like, it's fine. Most of the time, if you're throwing up while drinking, though, you should probably like be eating more or drinking water or drinking less. But like it happens.
Okay.
Why?
I have my own opinion, so I wanted to know yours.
What's your opinion?
You shouldn't bite your nails. Second, the opinion that I usually when like we and my friends would go out, right, we would go drinking, and if someone threw up, you'd be like, hell yeah, that dude's been partying hard, right? And you'd be like, good job, bud. Like you're gonna feel better than all of us tomorrow, because like most, whoever
you throw it up and
whoever throws up first, you're like, nice, like you wasted a little bit of money, but you're gonna feel the best out of all of us tomorrow morning.
It really does help to throw up.
Unless, right? Here's the difference. Here's the key. here's the point, right? There's a little plateau. You get there, you drink, you've had too much, you throw up. That's a good point to take a few hours as a break,
Yeah.
right? Maybe you're the one that's driving. That's cool. You're the DD now. Good luck. And that's a good solid plan. Now, if you throw up and you're just like, that was crazy. Now I got room for more drinks, then the proudness level it goes down, right? Like it's in the decline. It's an inverse wave function. I learned that in math once. And eventually you're just like, well, you were gonna feel the best of all of us tomorrow, but now one of us has to stay up all night and hold the bucket because you ain't stopping. Like this happened a couple
Is
times.
this? Are you thinking of something specific?
I was at a cabin in the woods, and this cabin, right? Okay, so here's let me back up. Let me paint the picture of where this cabin was. Um, you could see all the stars. There was nothing around
Hmm.
to the point where later in the evening, when someone was like, I know, we'll call for an ambulance, we called and they were like, no. They said no. They were like, no, we're not going out there. You can drive to the hospital.
Yep.
And we were like, but the hospital is almost 2 hours from here. And they're like, yeah.
Sucks to
They
suck.
were like, they literally was like, yeah, that's a shame. So then we were like, okay, well, we can't make it to the hospital. Who do you call? And if you're in that scenario, right? I'll give you that was a little background of how far we are, right? So through the night, there's one guy. He's not drinking, because he doesn't drink, right? But we like him, so we hang out with him. Nothing wrong. If you don't
He
want to
doesn't
drink,
drink, but we like him.
well, like some people are getting mad about it. Some people are like, oh, he doesn't drink, don't invite him. I'm like,
I don't think
no.
you should ever get mad at somebody for not drinking.
That's what I'm
That's
saying. Like
stupid.
it's you should always have somebody there that doesn't drink, or someone that can hold their own a little bit stronger than you, right? Like never be the most responsible one because then you're stuck with it all night. But so he didn't drink, or I mean, he may now. I don't know. Maybe he's traumatized. And so we were there. It was the mountain. It was the mountains in Arizona. It was snowing outside fairly decently. Like there was a good couple inches of snow at least on the ground. He hadn't been drinking, but he's like, "Hey, if we're gonna be out here in the middle of nowhere, I'm gonna bartend." And we're like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And he's like, I'm gonna bartend. That means so like he's gonna have all the alcohol, and then he's like, if I think you've had too much, I'll give you like something to eat and some water and stuff before I give you more alcohol. And you just gotta be okay with it. And all of us were like, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Like I like it. Sounds good, right? Mutual respect. Didn't want to get mad at him. That's the that's what happened all night. You would never trust him to be a bartender again. His judgment of impairment level, not good.
No.
Not good. All right. So towards the end of the night or middle, I can't remember. Um, there was I had stopped drinking like a few hours in. I only had a couple of drinks, right? This this girl, she maybe weighed like 100 pounds.
Jesus.
Like she was small. She was like 5'2", 5'3", maybe 100 pounds, like real skinny. She's actually a competitive shooter. She's really good. Anyway,
On this night, she was not.
she's nice. And so we were like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Anyway, she was upstairs at one point with her fiance. I want to say her fiance was. Like, you ever seen Shaq and his girl? Like the height difference, about the same.
Oh my gosh.
Like he was like 6 foot something, and she was just like she didn't need to get down on her knees to do anything with him, you know. Like that's what it felt like, and I was like, you could just barely bend over. Damn, all right. Anyway, so they're upstairs, and we're like, oh, they're busy, right? Well, he comes out and he's like, hey, you and you, and he calls on me and one of my buddies. He's like, can you come help? And we were like,
Fuck.
we're like, he came out of the bedroom. So immediately we look at each other and we look up and we're like, his tone of voice makes it sound like it's not what we had initially in mind. But let's go up and see what's going on. So we go up and we walk in and all the lights are on and we're like, weird step, but okay. And then you pan around the room and you're like, Well, everything's in place, nothing's disturbed, right? Except for like one of the blankets. And you're like, that makes sense. And then we're like, what happened? And he's like, no, this way. And he keeps walking. And we go into the bathroom and we were like, all right, yeah, yeah, bathroom, got it. And we walk in and she's throwing up. And we're like, yeah, she's throwing up, whatever. He's like, no, look. And we were like, what? And we go over and she's throwing up, but she's throwing up like blood, like like a good amount to where we were like, that's not
Oh yeah,
natural. We were like,
that's a
that's a
problem.
we were like, that's a bright color red. Right. So we were like, "How often does she drink?" And he's like, "Oh, hardly ever." And I was like, "How much has she had tonight?" And he's like, "I have no idea." And we asked the bartender later, and the bartender's like, "Oh, I haven't been keeping track." I'm like, "You're a terrible
Yeah,
bartender.
that was like the whole point of you
Like that was the
bartending.
whole point of you being here." Yeah. So we're talking with him. She's still throwing up, and so by this point, like most everybody in the house has come up. There was like a dozen of us total. Um, we were like, "Look, it's." We're like, "Yeah, it's she's throwing up blood." All right. So that's when we called 911. We're like, hey, can you get an
Ambulance.
ambulance? And they were like, absolutely not. We were like, oh, you're not going to drive 2 hours through the snow and then 2 hours back through the snow to get to the hospital. They were like, no, we're not coming out there. And we're like, okay, sounds good. Can you
Thank
give
you.
us? And then we were like, can you give us like paramedic advice? And they're like, no, we can't give medical advice because then you could like sue if something goes wrong or whatever. And I was like, thanks, appreciate it. So I hung up on them.
I
Right.
bet your 911 would come
And
out if she
then
died.
and then we were like, all right, next step, what's going on next? And we're like, there's got to be something else before we drive through the snow at whatever time it is. What would your next step be, do you think?
I would probably look in her mouth
What are you looking for?
to like see if there's anything going on in her throat.
Okay. Interesting step. What happens after that?
Well, I mean, that's what the paramedics always do. You check their airways.
Yeah. She's not having trouble breathing.
I'd
We
probably
can
give her
tell.
water.
We can tell because this is a traumatizing event for her. And we're like, just sip on some water. But you go up to her and you're like, just sip on some water. And she flails and throws fists at you because turns out she's traumatized. And she was like, no, no one touched me. It's going to happen again. And we were like, oh,
Oh
we were
God.
like, this conversation is turning south very quickly. So then we're looking at the boyfriend or the fiance and we were like, what's going to happen again? And he's like, I have no idea. He's like, I have no idea. She's never mentioned anything. Like, I don't know what's going on. And
That's a terrible time to find that out.
we're like, we're like, it's gonna happen again, huh? And we're like, well, there's only like, yeah,
I mean, then I'd probably have like a female like try to calm her down.
right. We were like, there's not a ton of possibilities. So that's what happened. We're like, okay, you deal with her for a little bit. So the female sat down, and we were like, all right, let's brainstorm off to the side, right? So after that, tell me the next step. Tell me what happens next.
Find somebody who can drive to the hospital.
We got that. The bartender's sober. But what's before we go to the hospital?
I don't know. Make sure everybody's dressed.
You can't move her. She's still throwing up. She's still throwing up lots of blood. Nobody can touch her, right?
Find a bucket.
Because she's got trauma. Apparently, we've got a bucket. I mean, that's not gonna
Have
help.
the girl help her into the car.
Here's what happened. We'll back it up. So then we were like, all right, well, let's see what's going on.
I don't know what's going to be tested today.
Oh yeah, you got to think. You're scenario based, right? Like if this ever happens, you're gonna be prepared. All right.
I would never be in this scenario.
So then we called. We called somebody else. Who do you think we called? We made two phone calls. We called 911. They said no. We made a second phone call. Who do you think that phone call was to?
One of your military people?
You're right. It was poison control.
Oh.
We called poison control and we were like, hey, can you give us medical advice on what to do? And they were like, yes, we can. What happened?
Go to the hospital.
Because that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be like, what'd you ingest? Did you ingest too much? What's the initial like response, right? So we told them the whole thing that's happening, right? And they were like, sounds like alcohol poisoning. And I was like, okay, what's the treatment? And they were like, have her sleep it off. And we're like, that's a lot of blood though. They were like, if it's a concerning amount of blood, you need to take her to the hospital. And we're like, well, okay. So then we hung up on them and we were like, is it a concerning amount? And we were like, I don't know. Did you guys paint the toilet red or was that her? And we were like, her.
That's pretty fucking terrifying.
Right. Like it was the whole thing, right? Like the
Honestly, you
floor,
guys handled that very
like it
well.
looked like someone was getting stabbed. Right. And so we were like, okay, plan C. We were like, hey, you need with the fiance at this point was talking to her. She was like calming down a little bit. We were like, we touched him. We're like, hey man, she needs to get in the car. The sober dude's driving to the hospital.
Mhm.
Right. And he's like, okay. So he goes over and was like, hey, we need you to get in the car so we can take you to the hospital. And panic mode sets in, and she was like, no, we can't do it. I can't move. I need to be here. And we were like, yes, because this is your favorite cabin all of a sudden, you know? And so we were like, but she's still like in between yelling at all of us. She's still losing blood. And we're like, nah, we ain't playing these games. And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know what to do. And we said, go downstairs, go in the other bedroom and plug your ears. He's like, why? I'm like, do it. Go away. So he left. We're like, because you're not gonna be here for this. We're not gonna make you hear this. You need to go away, like right now. He goes, okay. We're like, here you go. And he left, right? So we gave the sober dude got the car, pulled it up. Mind you, we're upstairs. We're in the upstairs bathroom. We pull up, right? He pulls up the car to the door. We open the car door. We're like, you're going to sit in the back seat with her. I'll navigate. He's driving, right? So they're like, cool. What's the plan to get her downstairs? And he said, what do you mean? She can't walk. And so I was like, I'll get legs. You get arms. Let's go. So we picked her up. She starts screaming like she's being like murdered, right? The dude is in the fiance is like in the downstairs bedroom, covering her ears, screaming, kicking it all the way out to the car. We put her in the car. As soon as we stop touching her, she's fine again. Give her the bucket back. She's fine in the car. We're like, cool. Now sit still. Don't move. We're getting in the car. Drove all the way to the hospital. They talked to her for a little bit. At the hospital, they checked her out and they were like, yeah, she's got a tear in her throat and it's just blood from her esophagus coming up when she throws up. It's nothing serious. It'll heal on its own. She'll be fine. And we were like, sounds good. Appreciate the words of wisdom. And then right, to round it all off, to round off this whole fun night, the medic, like the
I'm like
doctors,
secondhand stressed right now.
and the nurses, right? They came out and they were like, hey, walk us through what happened. And we told them the whole thing that happened. And they were like, okay, well, do you have her parents' phone number? And we were like, we don't, but we can get it for you. So we called the fiance and we're like, hey, what's going on? This is what's happening. We need her dad's phone number. Right? He gives us the phone number. We give it to the doctors. The doctors call them. And we were like, that's crazy. I don't know what's happening right now. And later we found out from the fiance, who apparently talked to the dad because the dad trusted the fiance, that apparently, like in high school, she had been raped and just never told anyone except her dad. So her dad knew about it and she was demanding to call him because she was afraid it was happening again and didn't know where she was. And we were like, she's in a hospital, she's safe. Like,
That's so sad.
yeah, and it was bad. That's why we were like, that makes sense from the comment earlier. But that was the fun trip. And then we finally got back to the cabin at like, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning probably. And we walked in and I put her in the bedroom. She closed the door and we're like, man, you're never bartending again. And then we all played a drinking game called King's Cup. And
oh my god, I hate King's
went
Cup.
back to the party. And I was like, anyway. So the moral of the story is, if you're gonna throw up once, go to sleep. Or throw up once and just hang out.
Also,
and drink some
like,
water.
how bad at throwing up do you have to be to tear your throat open?
How bad at throwing up do you have to be? That's like,
I've thrown up excessively and never torn my throat open, okay?
I don't know if it was the throwing up or the alcohol, like that, like burned a hole in her. I don't know. But that's why you like when you do throw up, you have a lot of saliva that comes out too.
Yeah. That's how you know you're gonna throw up. You're like,
because it coats your esophagus and your mouth so that the stomach acid doesn't burn holes in it. But if you throw up enough that you're not producing enough saliva, the stomach acid will burn holes in your esophagus. That's what it is.
But you know what? Honestly, that girl is so lucky because if I were in that
We're like,
situation and I
I'm not
had
doing
you
this.
guys there, like, taking care of me, I would have known I was
Oh, we
okay.
were we were not having it. We're like, look, you got trauma, but the hospital's not close, and you need to get there. So we're
Why
like,
wouldn't her fiance just bundle her up and pick her up?
she wouldn't let him. She wouldn't let anybody touch her. Like she was kicking and
Okay, you would
screaming,
just grab
literally
me and
everybody.
fucking
I would, yes, but that man had no heart for it. That's why we
oh.
told him to go plug his ears in the other room. we're
You've
like,
you've seen me
we're
have
like, get
lots of
out.
freakouts and meltdowns. It's nothing new.
No, we were like, dude, go away. You're not gonna want to hear this. And he's like he was freaking out, like on the verge of
Aww.
he was about to have a mental breakdown too, like on because of what was happening to her. And we were like, you need to leave. Like you're making it worse. And he's like, but and we're like, get out.
No, go.
We're like, get out, go away, go outside, go somewhere, plug your ears. We don't care. So he left and we took her to the car.
Ugh.
Like, this is not happening, man. We do not need you here for
See, I do
this.
I do really appreciate it when people do have a bartender though, because like when I
Dude,
was
it's
going to
terrible
frat
bartender.
parties in college, like they had the same thing where like
He's a good
they
dude.
would
He
organize
just
it like
didn't.
that.
He was a good dude. He made good drinks, but he just was terrible at keeping track and watching how drunk everybody was, especially when she was only like 100 pounds. And he was like, "Oh, you just got through with a drinking game where you had 2 shots. Yeah, I can pour you a drink." And I was like, "No, man. Like, what are you doing?"
No, I think you're really good at that. You're really good
I was
about
like, "You're
timing and keeping
dumb."
track of how much people have been drinking.
You're. Oh yeah, it's fun.
I like going out with your friends most better than my friends.
That's because my friends are not. That's because most of my friends are not mentally ill.
Okay, my Austin friends though, I'm fine going out with them. Like
They're still very like
they still have problems, but I've been to
not
like
no not
clubs and
problems.
stuff, and
I'm
it's
saying
fine.
they're very like passive about everything. Me and
Yeah, your
my
friends are very
friends we're
direct.
not. We're just like, you want to go there? Nah, let's go here. Why? Let's go here. Fuck you. We'll go here. All right. Well, let's go to one and then the other. All right, sounds good. And then we go. Like that's it. That's
I'm
the
good
whole
at doing that
conversation.
if I'm just with like one friend.
You and
In a
your
group though,
Yeah,
I'm
you and your
not
friends
okay with
in a
that.
group, it's like, do you guys want to go here or here? And then someone else will go, oh, it doesn't matter to me. And then the third person chimes in and is like, where are we going? One of those places? Both sound good to me. And then the first person who mentioned both places is like, oh, yeah, yeah, both those places are good. And then there's just silence for like a good 30 seconds. And I'm like, and that's when I chime in and go, so where are we going? And then it starts back over and someone's like, oh, we can go here or here. And I'm like, yes, I'm aware of the options. Where are we going
Somebody
though?
make a decision, please.
Right. And then they're like, let's go here, here. And I'm like, cool, let's go to place A. And everyone's like, A works. Yeah, place A works. And I'm like, cool. When are we going? And someone's like, oh, we can go whenever. You know what? I don't know why I asked. I should have just said 5 o'clock, be ready. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Every time with your friends, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, we
Listen,
went
all
out.
of my friends are subs, and our significant
We
others are the dominant ones, and we can't
we went
swap.
out with only your friends for one of your friends' birthdays, and it took almost an hour to decide whether we were leaving at like 5 or like 6 p.m. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like it took so long. And one of them at one point just saw me like staring at the ground. And they were like, "Why? What's wrong? Yeah, what would you prefer to do?" And I was like, "I'd prefer to be there already. I'd prefer to be there right now. I'd prefer to be there in an hour, 10 minutes from now. I don't care. Just make a decision." And they were like, "Why? Why? What's happened?" And I was like, any of you just make a decision. They're like, oh, well, what do you want? And I'm like, I will hit one of you. Like, like I looked at them and I was like, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, it doesn't. And I said, no, don't say it doesn't matter. What do you want to do? And they're like, and they stopped and they thought about it. I forget who I was talking to, but they thought about it for like a good longer than it should have taken. And then they were like, I've been out for like 20 minutes from now. I'm like, 20 minutes from now, perfect. And then I looked at the second person at somebody else and they were like, yeah, we can leave in 20 minutes. And I was like, we're all on board. It's going, the train's rolling. No stopping this train. And then I looked at the third person and then the first person asked the second person, oh, 20 minutes works for you. Is that all right? And then the second person who had just agreed that 20 minutes was all right for them goes, oh, yeah, is that all right for you? We can do another time. And then the first person, while I'm looking at the third person, goes, oh, yeah, we can do another time. So now both people that just agreed that 20 minutes was a good time frame to leave are now back on board to we can leave whenever. And then person number three is like, oh, yeah, whenever is good. And I'm like, no, stop straying away. 20 minutes. Where did
You
the
know
20
what?
minutes go?
I actually have a trick for that.
I was like, oh,
So I do this at work too.
I
because
usually just make an announcement after I get
well,
bored.
I
Like,
like to give people options, right? But sometimes people
mhm.
don't want to make decisions. So what I do is I'll be like, I'll be at work. I'll be like, "Do you want to do this or this?" And they're like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" And I just look them in the eye and I say, "Do you want to do this
Yeah, you learned
or
that from me.
this?" Is that where I got it
That's
from?
what I do to you.
Oh my god, it really
Every
works.
time I'm like, "Do you want to go to McDonald's or KFC or like Chick-fil-A?" Right? I'm like, "You want McDonald's or Chick-fil-A?" And you're like, "Well, what do you?" And I go, "No. Which one would you prefer?" And I just stare at you until you choose one, and then I'm like, "That's a good option," and then we go there.
Oh my god, no.
You're
No,
welcome.
I do that at work and like
Yeah, you're
everybody's like,
welcome.
"How did you get me to make that decision?" I was like,
Because it's less awkward than just staring at somebody. It's like if you're uncomfortable staring at someone, you'll just pick which one you actually want to get out of that situation. Like it's super easy. Just stare at them.
"Yeah, 10 out of 10. I'll definitely be using it again."
Yeah, like every time you're like, "Do you want A or B?" And they're like, "Well," and I'm like, "No, no, A or B. Those are the options." And they're like, and they'll people try and give you explanations of things. And they're like, that's when you got to narrow it down. Like you can say, "Do you want A or B?" And someone will be, they'll try and give you an explanation about like the merits of each one, right? Like to try and sway your opinion.
Mhm.
They'll be like, "Well, you can do this or we can do that. But if you're interested in A, I'm interested in B, but I'm also interested in A." And you're like, "That's a conversation about A and B. I need a decision about A and B." So that's when you stop and be like, "No, A, B." The same thing with it. If it's a question, if it's a yes or no question, super easy. You're like, "Would you like this?" Like, "Would you like McDonald's?" Right? And someone's like, "Well, I could do that." And you're like, "No, no, no, no. It was a yes or no question. Would you like McDonald's? Yes or no?" And they're like, uh, yes. You're like, "All right, let's go." Is it? It's super easy. If you have infinite choices of for your opinion, it takes forever to get it from people that don't like making decisions. If you say A or B, and then you stare at them until they pick which one they want, A or B it is.
Yeah, well, you know what? Thanks for that.
You're
10 out
welcome.
of 10.
You can try it on anybody. It usually works.
I think that's a great place to stop. That's like good
Is it?
advice.
You can trick people into making decisions by
Manipulation.
just telling them you have two options, pick one, and stare at them until it's awkward. Because people are very. If you it works best if you say things in a way, especially to people that don't like making decisions or people that don't like confrontation.
Mhm.
If you say it in a way that makes it sound like you might be annoyed if they stray from your answer, you say A or B, pick one now, and you just stare at them and you act like if they say C, you're going to be annoyed, even though it really is just going to annoy you that you're going back in circles. They'll pick A or B. Like they won't want the confrontation of picking something else or talking about something else. They'll be like, "Hey," and you're like, "Hey, it is." And then you got to reassure them though. You gotta lull them into like that was their decision, like they did really good. So then they'll be like, "You bought A or B," and they'll go, uh, "A." You'd be like, "That's a great decision. I appreciate it. Let's go with A." And then you walk off, and then you let them think about it and just ruminate on it. You're like,
You
"A,"
do that to me all the
and then they sit
time.
there and they immediately think A was a good decision. Now, I'm proud of me for making that decision. And then you walk off, and the people feel better, and they're like, "Yeah, I made that decision earlier. He asked me a question. I said yes. It was perfect." I know you can see it in their eyes when they're like, "That was good of me."
You know
Yeah.
what? Listen.
It's the same thing when a lot of the people that work for me, I need like specific answers, right? So I'll be like, I'll be like, they're the people I'm asking, they're in charge of signing out equipment to other people, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not usually there for all of the equipment signing out because it happens continuously. So I'll walk up and I'm like, "Hey, does so and so have this equipment?" And they'll answer it. And they used to answer it very non-specifically. They used to say things like, "Oh, they should have it," or "I think they have it," or "They probably have it." Right. But now every time they say that, and I'm like, "That's not an answer." I'm like, "They either have it or they don't have it. You're responsible for signing out. Do they have it or they not have it?" And it's very easy. They'll be like, and I was like, "If you don't know, just tell me you're going to check the paperwork and then tell me they have it or don't have it." And they're like, "Oh, okay." It's very simple. But like, I had to keep fucking like teaching them that. And then every time they would say, "Oh, they should have it," and I go, "They should, but do they?" And then we'll just go into that little staring contest. And they look at me and they go, "Let me check." And I'm like, "Okay." And then they check. I'm like, super easy.
It's good advice.
Super easy. Use specific
Well,
language.
Austin, stay warm out there.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else too.
If you have a choice between A or B, just pick one. It's more annoying when you don't get an answer.
And if it's your wrong decision, you'll know next time.
Yep. Do the outro. Welcome back from our season 1 break. Season 2 officially kicks off. We appreciate you all. If you heard our lovely ad on Spotify, and that's right here, we appreciate you clicking through and listening. Give us a fun link. If you want to see more, you can go over to mindlessprattle.com or wherever you listen to your lovely podcasts. I was about to say wherever you listen to your Spotify.
You can leave us a message.
Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can listen. Wherever. You can. I believe in you.
You can listen to us if you want.
If you want, you can. If you don't, you don't. If you can, you won't. If you're not, you will.
If you've already listened to this and you don't like it, so sorry for wasting your time.
I'm not. That's her opinion. She's very non-confrontational. Why the staring works. And if you, but this is episode 53. If you liked what you heard, there's a whole season 1. If you've been listening since season 1, we appreciate you coming back.
Welcome back.
And
Beyond the new.
You can leave us a message, review, whatever you want. Mindlessprattle.com. We'll get to it. We'll review it. We'll even give you a shout out on the podcast if you want. But that's going to do it for us this week. We hope you have fun. We know we did. And we will see you next time.
Bye. Don't forget to do your Duolingo.
You're a slave to the owl.